Hey, this is MJ, and in today's tutorial I'll be showing you how to make our Cosmos Mosaic Blanket. This blanket uses the overlay mosaic crochet technique, which means that we'll be crocheting one row and then we cut. So we're always starting over at the right hand side of the blanket, joining on, working across, and then cutting our yarn at the end. Now, because of this method, there are a lot of tails, but instead of weaving them, we have crocheted a double border, which just hides the tails within the border, so you don't have to weave all of those tails in. I'm using a DK weight number 3 for this pattern, and I've chosen Mellowspun in the color Tropics, which is a beautiful pink, purple, green mix, perfect for spring. And I'm using Mellowspun DK weight in the color White. You'll need 2 crochet hook sizes for this pattern. I'm using a 4mm for when I crochet the border, and I'm using a 5mm crochet hook throughout the pattern. So I'm going to begin by showing you the mosaic technique for this pattern. You will require the PDF with the full chart in order to complete this pattern, but I want to make sure that you're successful in working the overlay mosaic technique, so I'm going to work through those steps with you. So for our entire blanket, we're going to be chaining out 148, but I'm going to work through the swatch with you, which will be a smaller section, and we're going to chain a total of 28, and we'll be working across 27 stitches. So we need that extra chain because we're working back across the chain, so we need that extra chain for the turning. So let's chain out 28 in our color A, which will be our white yarn. So we'll put a slip knot on our hook, 5mm crochet hook, and we'll chain out 28. And now we'll work back in single crochet stitches. I like to turn my work and work into the back bumps of the chain. So you're going to find your second chain, turn, and find that little back bump and work a single crochet in each stitch across. So when you're looking at your chart, we're completing row 1 right now, and we're doing it in color A. Okay, so I've worked across. I have 27 stitches, and now what I'm going to do is chain 1 and cut my yarn. We don't need the yarn to be very long because this is going to get hidden into our border. And the chain 1 is going to give it some extra security because remember, we're not weaving these tails. So we want to make sure that it's getting that little knot on the end. And then we're going to bring in color B, which is our prism yarn. So what you'll do is put a slip knot on your hook. I'm also going to chain 1, and this is just going to make it again a little bit more secure. I'm always worried. I don't want any tails coming loose. This blanket is a lot of work, so let's just make sure to take that extra step. So what we're going to do is single crochet in the first stitch. Okay, and now you're going to single crochet through the back loops across and add a single crochet in your final stitch. So go through the back loop only. Working this across. And I'm going to grab the chart here so you can see. So what we're doing now is we are to row B. We're working single crochets to the back loop only. So you're going to notice that we have some color for our pattern. We have white for our background. And then you're going to notice that some of our boxes are blank and some of our boxes have X's in them. So there's no X's for row 2. So this means that we are going to do a single crochet in the back loop only. We don't worry about the color that we see. So just completely ignore that. And you also can see that I have a single crochet in the first stitch, and I also have a single crochet through the last stitch. Now this first row here is a single crochet in every stitch because we're working into the chain. It's not marked all single crochet, but it is all single crochet in that. And I can always add that into the PDF. So single crochet, and then we're only doing it in the first and last stitch. The rest, whenever you see the box without anything in it, it's going to be a single crochet in the back loop only. And some people find just following the chart is the easiest way for the pattern, but in the PDF, I also have the written directions as well as the chart for you to follow. So I'm going to work this all the way across. We're coming to this last stitch. I'm going to single crochet through both loops, and this is also going to make it more secure by doing that single in the first and last stitch. So we single, we're going to chain 1 again. So remember, we chain 1 so we have that extra security with the stitch. So I'm going to fasten it off. I don't need a very long tail. So we've completed 2 rows. Now row 3 is going to be our first row where we're going to get into those X's. But we'll start out the same as we will every row. So every row will begin with a slip knot on the hook. And try not to make the tails, I guess, too long because we'll have to trim them. And I'm going to chain 1. Again, just for that extra security. And I'm going right into the first stitch, working a single crochet. Now you'll notice with our chart that we have all of these X's. When you see an X, you're going to do a drop down double crochet into the front loop of the first row. So this is going to be our mosaic double crochet. So when you see an X, we're going to work a mosaic double crochet, which is a drop down, dropping down to 2 rows below it and working that double crochet into the front loop. So let me show you, because that, of course, is the easiest way to understand. So here is the front loops of those first rows. I know it's in white, but you're going to see there's a little loop here. So we're going to do a double crochet, yarn over. We're going to come down and just go under that front loop and work our double. And we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're going to do 9 of them. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and now the next 3 stitches will be single crochets in the back loop only because they are blank box. So 1, 2, 3. We then have another drop down, and if you're at all confused as to which one you're dropping, you want to make sure we've skipped 3. 1, 2, 3. So this one, which goes right below the stitch, be dropping down. Okay, and then single crochet in the back loop only of the next 3. And then we're finishing with another 9. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's 9, and then we single crochet in our very last stitch. We chain 1 and we fasten off. So starting out with the swatch is a good idea before you get into the blanket. It's going to ensure that you understand the stitch, that you understand the pattern before working over such a big section. I think that is the biggest mistake some people make with mosaic. They jump right into the blanket before doing a swatch. Their gauge may be off, and they also may be struggling to get the idea of the pattern, where if you start out this way with a little swatch, do your first flower, then you'll know basically how the pattern works and if it's something that you're able to do. So now we're going to grab our color B again, make a slip knot, put it on our hook. Can chain 1. And then we're going to single crochet right into the very first stitch. Try not to pull it too tight, or you may struggle. See how it's sort of tiny, the first stitch, so try not to pull it too much until later on so that you can find that stitch easily. So for this row now, we're looking at row 4, and you can see we have all of these single crochet in the back loop only. So you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Then we have 3 drop downs, single crochet back loop only, 3 drop downs, and then all single crochet in the back loop only. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So now we're coming to, and this pattern is really easy once you get the hang of it. You know here now, once you see these available little front loops, that we need to work back down into them. So then it's going to cover up the white, and this is how our pattern is made. So you can see we've covered up our color, showing our base white, and then when we're dropping down, we're covering up the white so we get our pattern developing. So we're going to come down, we're going to work a drop down or our mosaic double crochet in the next 3. So at some points you may not even need to look at the chart, you can just see what you need to do. So then we do a back loop, and then we do a front loop in the next 3. Right? So when you see those front loops available, you know you need to work down into them. You don't want to leave them unexposed. And then when we have these back loops, we know we need to cover them up. So then we continue just across, working in the back loop only. So you can see how simple this is. If you know how to do double crochets, you know how to do single crochets, you can easily do this pattern. And we get to the last stitch. We're going to do a full single crochet, chain 1, and then cut. Okay, and now we're on to row 5. I'm going to get joined in. So this is all repetitive. Row 5 is going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 drop downs. And you'll see we're going to have these loops available. So we know we need to be dropping down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And now as our pattern expands, our little flower section expands here, we need to leave these 2. So we're now going to do back loops in the next 5 because we have these ones, plus we're bringing 2 in. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we have a drop down right here, and then we do 5 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we do, so 1, 2, so then we start into our drop downs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So the pattern is symmetrical, so usually sort of what you're doing on the one half, you're doing on the next half. But let's also discuss the repeat, because when you're working across the blanket, you're going to have some other things to consider as well. So I'm showing you as if we are ending. So we're starting and then we're ending. Now, when we have this repeat, let's take a look at it. We're repeating our stitch from stitch number 2 all the way through to stitch number 25. And then you repeat this again. So this shows how many flowers you're going to have. So you're repeating that flower section. So once you get to 25, you're going to come back when you're working across your blanket and you're going to do 2 through 25 again. When you get to the end of your blanket, the end of your flower, you're going to have those 2 rows that you finish it off. So you can see we're starting with these 2 rows. We're then ending with these 2 rows. We end here, but when we come back here, it gives us a row of that white between before we start our next flower. So you will repeat these. Now in the PDF, you're going to have all this written out for you so that you know the repeat and how to begin and end. But also just by following along with the chart, it's pretty easy to just keep going. And if you want to alter the width of the blanket, it's easy just to add another flower into it if you want, another flower or 2 flowers. So we end with a single crochet, chain 1, and just fasten it off. So this is, maybe we'll do one more. We'll add row 6 in as well, but this is basically the process. The blanket itself and working through the entire stitch pattern is a bit much because we actually, our next row is then offset, so we have to do a repeat of 49 rows, so way too much to work through all of that with you on camera. So you'll want to print out your own copy of your chart and work through it, or follow along with the written directions when you're making your blanket. But let's add in one more row. So you can see a little bit more of how it's coming together. So we're going to start again. If you don't want to chain one at the beginning, like this one should be okay. I guess I just like to be extra safe because I'm not slip stitching in and then chaining one. I'm just going right into making that single crochet. So then we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 single crochet in the back loop only. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then you can see we have all of our loops here that we're going to do drop down. So we have 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, single crochet in the back loop only. Then we'll do 5 mosaic drop downs. And then 7 single crochet in the back loop. And single crochet in the last stitch, chain 1 and fasten off. This is what it's going to look like on the back side, and our pattern is just going to start pulling together beautifully on the front side. Okay, so once you have your blanket complete, I'm going to show you how to do the double border, and that's going to hide all these tails. So you can make sure that you trim your tails so that they're not too long. You're going to take your larger crochet hook, and I'm going to use the colored yarn, and this is just going to make it easier to see. And you can join in to any stitch along the top. And really make sure to loosely do these slip stitches, or else they're going to be really hard to work into when we work in that other side. So just loosely slip stitch across to your corner. So once you're at your corner, and all of your corners will be worked the same, so you'll chain 2. And then you're going to work down the side. Now you can see we have a white row, a colored row, white row, colored row, and that will help you to make sure you get one slip stitch per row when you're working down the side. Sure to push those tails down. Okay, so you're going to continue all the way around, do your chain 2s at the corner, work in each stitch across the bottom of the blanket and back up. So this will take a little bit of time. Just make sure you're doing those slip stitches loose or it's going to make your next round really difficult. Once you get all the way around, you can fasten off. We're going to do a seamless join just so that you don't notice it at all. So what you want to do is fasten off. Take your yarn needle. We're going to go under both loops of our first stitch, and then you're going to go through the back loop only. Okay, so you're making a little faux stitch. Then you can just take your tails, you can knot them to the back because all of this is going to get put into that border. So now I just went with my yarn needle and just pulled out any of the tails just to make sure that they're all here. We don't want them to the blanket side. We want to make sure they all get tucked into our border. So if you need to do that, make sure to do that before going to the next step. Now you also want to take your smaller hook, and you could go with color for your border or go with white like I've shown the blanket. And what we'll do is we're going to look for that back leg of our slip stitch. So it's going to be really noticeable and pop out in the color. If you've done it in white, it is a little trickier to find it. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to grab my yarn, I'm going to pull it through, and I'm going to chain out 3, which will count as a double crochet. I'm then going to double crochet in that back leg of every slip stitch. Now you want to make sure that this is fairly tight, so go down. I've gone down a full hook size, but you may need to go down even more if you crochet loose. We're going to get over here to the corner, and in the corner you're going to find that chain 2 and you're going to double crochet in just the loop of the chain. So there's the first one. We're then going to chain 2 for our next corner and then do a double crochet into the next one. You can then continue working double crochets. So at every corner you'll do a double crochet in the first chain, chain 2, double crochet in the next chain, and every back leg here we're going to do a double crochet. So work that all the way around, just like this. Okay, so once you get all the way around, we're going to slip stitch in the 3rd chain of the chain 3 to join. We're going to chain 3, that counts as a double crochet, and then we're going to work double crochets around. Now you can do as many rounds as you'd like following round 2. I'm just going to do this round. I'm not going to continue. And then when you get to your chain 2 corner, we're going to work it just like we did before. We're going to do a double crochet, chain 2, and then a double crochet into the next chain. And continue working double crochets around. So complete all the corners the same. Just working through each stitch. Okay, so once you get all the way around, you can slip stitch into the 3rd chain of the chain 3 to join. And once you've worked as many rounds as you want, you can fasten this off. So this is all I'm going to do for my swatch. And it's a good idea just to weave your tail in and get it out of the way as well. Okay, so now you want to come back to the right side, and we will be working still with our smaller hook, and we're going to be working now through the slip stitches, and we want to make sure that all of these tails. So what we're going to do is use our smaller hook. We're going to go in to, you can pick a stitch. So you're going to take your yarn, pulling it through. This is going to be worked just like we did at the back, but now we're working through only the back loop. So I'm going to chain 3 and then start working double crochets. And sometimes just folding your work can help you get worked into that back loop. And also a hook that has a pointy end really helps with this as well. Okay, so now when you get to, it looks like how I've crocheted into those loops, you can't see the 2 chains. So I'm just going to go with what I can see here. Not a big deal. We're going to do a double crochet, chain 2, and then just work another double crochet, just kind of going across to this other chain where that double crochet was. Then you're just going to keep working all the way around, making sure that all of your tails are tucked down inside. So this round should be a lot easier, providing you have kept those stitches loose. You should be able to buzz through it. And it leaves just that 1 loop remaining, so the color kind of adds a little pop. But so if you prefer the look of it all being in white, I've shown the blanket done like that. You will need to do this round of slip stitches in the white, but it will be more difficult to pick out those loops. But if you really do prefer that look, then do it that way. But if not, this does look nice too, with just a little bit of colored edge. Okay, so once you get all the way around, we're gonna work round 2, just like we did the back. So we're going to slip stitch in our chain 3, the 3rd chain of the chain 3 to join, chain 3, and then double crochet in each stitch around. And same as before, when we get to the corner, you're going to do a double crochet in the chain, chain 2, and a double crochet in the second chain. Okay, so we're gonna work that all the way around, and then I'll show you how to join the border together. Okay, so once you get all the way around, I'm gonna slip stitch and fasten off. So if you're working on the blanket, you'll wanna do another round. You can weave in that tail, and then we're going to work on joining this up. Now, this border isn't quite as wide. You could trim your tails down so that you can tuck them in better, but I'm just going to kind of just fold them in there so I can show you how this is done. You're gonna join into the corner. So put a slip knot on your hook and join in the chain 2, and you're going right through to the other side. You're going to single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. And then what you're going to do is look at your stitch. You're going to go through the back loop only and the front loop of this stitch and work a single crochet. So back loop and front loop. So the loops that are closest to each other. Okay, work that all up the side. I'll meet you at the corner. Once you get to the corner, you're going to work a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. Okay, so you can see we've joined that all up. This is how it's going to look on this side. Nice clean edge on this side. So you can see how it's looking if you do a color. And if you go ahead and do it in the white, it's going to not stand it out. It's not going to be as noticeable. But if you do the color, it's going to look like this, which is still a nice little edge around the blanket. So do what you prefer. So you can just finish going all the way around. When you get to the end, you can slip stitch in that first single crochet to join, fasten off, and weave in all your ends. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and tap the bell to stay updated on all my new videos and tutorials. Make sure to check the description box below this video for all the links. Thanks so much, guys. Have an awesome day.